but I ate a lot of things I should actually really not eat, like ice cream, but like the worst ice cream you can imagine.
The worst ice cream?
Salted caramel cookie dough and pastries with like from a store around, like really bad stuff. But I didn't feel different, so there was no change. I was kind of confused. I was like, normally I should feel really bad now. And then I visit my parents and I ate 3 slices of cheesecake, and I was still very fine. It's like amazing. That's something new.
Hey everyone, it is Mike the Heal Your Gut Guy, and we are here with Denny today. He bought our course some time ago, and it seems like he's having some great results. He was suffering from Crohn's disease, but I will let him take the floor and introduce himself.
Hey, yeah, my name is Danny. I'm from Berlin in Germany, and I bought the course approximately 3 months ago.
Oh, wow, 3 months ago? Okay.
3 months ago, and since then I had some really, really great results actually. So I got Crohn's maybe since I was 11 years old already, but the doctors never really realized. It was always like I had some strange things like inflammation in the eye or skin issues, and they were always like, yeah, there must be an underlying inflammation somewhere, but we don't know where it is. So this took forever, till 2011, till one doctor realized, okay, this is Crohn's.
Okay.
Back in the days, I was working in a chicken nugget factory in the laboratory, and I was like having to eat these chicken nuggets every day. It was my job to do.
Yeah, you got to test your food.
And to test and everything. And of course, you can imagine this is like the worst food you can possibly eat. So I got really, really sick and bad. Mm-hmm. And then also the combination with antibiotics. And then it was on the point where like it was clear I had something really, really bad with my digestion. And back in the days, they put me on mesalamine.
Mesalamine, yeah.
Mesalamine, yeah, and also of course cortisone, long-time cortisone.
Oh, you were on that, yeah.
I was on cortisone, and other things. There were times when I had to take 20 tablets a day. Like it was crazy.
Wow.
I felt okay in these times. I was, of course, if you take cortisone, it's like it boosts. It boosts. Mm-hmm. It's like a wonder drug. But then a few weeks later, you're like back at the beginning. Mm-hmm. In the last years, it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I went to doctors and was in the hospital for some time. And the doctors, they give me then azathioprine, and what was it called? Infliximab, so also kind of Remicade.
That's Remicade here, yeah.
Remicade,
yeah.
Yes, and it was okay, but it didn't do so much for me, I have to say. It was getting worse, and I was like feeling it's not really working.
Yeah.
And then I looked, for natural curing and nutrition. My GI doctor said there's no relation to food and your disease. And I said, but hey, I started meditating, and since then I feel way better. And he's like, there's no relation to psychology and your disease. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this cannot be true because I feel it. There's something going on. Mm-hmm. I bought the SCD book, as you also did. And
we've had a very similar path. Remicade, specific carbohydrate, yeah.
Yes, and I was like 100% strict, really. Mm-hmm. I was like really, like we were on a vacation when I started. My girlfriend was really mad at me back in the day because we were in Portugal, wanted to try everything, and I said like, I can everything that has more than one
chicken
glucose
soup,
molecule.
Jello,
not going to happen.
All I can eat.
Yeah, exactly. She was like translating and getting me just fish and salt and meat and salt and nothing else. So that was a fun time. And then I got a little better. But also, as you mentioned, the SCD does not exclude fibers. And they say after some time you eat these muffins and cookies, and it was like not so good. Yeah. Not so good in the end. So I still felt like ups and downs. I tried vegetarian. I tried even vegan. I was keto and vegan. Eating
possible.
That's possible. I was literally eating just soup actually the whole day, and I was optimistic. I was fine with that. I was like, if I just get healthy, then I will do it. I will eat this my whole life. But it also didn't happen. Of course, now I know there are a lot of things missing there that I really needed to cure it, to get better. And then last December I started the carnivore diet. And this was a major step up. This was like,
yeah.
now something is clicking. Like now something has changed. This is good. 1, 2, 3 months, it was like this whole adaptation phase and so on was really hard. And then it was kind of cool, but I also seen, okay, now this also has some limitation.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Then I've seen your videos, actually, that the vegetable police mentioned you in one video. And I was like,
he didn't say too nice of things about me in that video.
No, you didn't. But I was like, okay, who is this? And I was looking for you, and then I found the videos, and I was like, okay, this sounds actually quite good. So I bought the course and like watched the course in one go almost.
Oh wow!
And then immediately started to introduce these foods, and this was also then again another step up, energy-wise, mood-wise.
Oh, cool.
That was a major thing. Yeah.
What was like the missing piece of the puzzle for you? Because for me, it was, I was eating the right things and doing, like Weston A. Price foods. For me, it was infection and deactivating starch anti-nutrients. Those were like the two big pieces for me. What was like missing for you?
I believe infection did not play a huge role. In my story, I'm not sure, because I tried also like oregano oil. I tried went heavy on yogurts and everything else, but there was not the biggest change, I have to say. But this is of course different for everybody. For me, I think it was the like iron, vitamin D, zinc, these nutrients that I just didn't get in the right amounts in other from other foods, and also the digestibility of things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which I never thought about before, but I realized it's at one point that salad is kind of okay. I cannot do raw vegetarian. I wanted to try raw vegetarian, and this was not going to happen. I was like,
yeah,
no way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, everyone's kind of like a little different with like what their big things are, and that's very interesting because most people don't mention like focusing on the digestibility of food. And I don't know, right now with our course, I'm really focusing on, I'm going into like every single little food group and getting like super anal about how to break stuff down into like its elemental state.
Yes.
And I greatly feel the difference between, like, I think yesterday we had some potatoes where I didn't boil out all the saponins, I didn't like mash them, and I feel a little off today, and it's because I ate poison yesterday, and and you take things a step further with fermenting it and stuff. That's work your body's got to do. That's so cool that removed the workload from your body and gave your body what it needs, and took care of you. That's really cool.
That's true. You can hardly find really like the real sourdough breads still. Although Germany's famous for breads, you cannot find the real good ones, right? There are sourdough breads, but they have like just a percentage, or they're just sourdough like really shortly, or not like real made like they did back in the days. Yeah. But we found a bakery, and my girlfriend, she's kind of healthy more than I am, and she ate the bread, and she also said this is like it almost melts in your mouth. That's really easy. That's the
only way you can test it. Like,
yes,
it's weird. I've found breads that are like they're whole grain and they're sourdough, and I'm going like, oh, this ain't gonna be good, and I'll bite into it and I'll go, all right, they might have done it right, and then I'll go to another place and they're like, we've sourdough'd it for 36 hours and blah 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 blah, and I'll bite into it and it'll feel like a rock in my stomach, and I'm like, it's the test is like in the taste buds and in your stomach on whether it's pre-processed, pre-broken down, pre-digested for you. That's really cool.
Exactly. It's also a huge part of my well-being was also body awareness. Getting more body awareness, what is going on with me, and so on. So the psychological part plays into that as well. And one interesting thing was in the last weeks, there was like, I don't know, having some flashbacks of old times, but I ate a lot of things I should actually really not eat, like ice cream, but like the worst ice cream you can imagine.
The worst ice cream?
Salted caramel cookie dough, and pastries with like from a store around, like really bad stuff, but I didn't feel different. So there was no change.
That's great. That's great.
And I was kind of confused. I was like, normally I should feel really bad now. And then I visit my parents and I ate 3 slices of cheesecake, and I was still very fine. It's like amazing. That's
awesome.
something new.
like when you can take a beating, that's when you know you've healed. That's awesome to hear. That's really cool.
Exactly.
So what were some like big epiphany, like aha moments for you when, maybe you were watching watching my videos, and what made the light bulb go off and go like, oh, this is the way, this makes sense?
Yes, you mentioned the Weston A. Price, and also like immediately bought the book and read the whole book,
Awesome.
and it made because I studied as a brewmaster a lot of biochemistry and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So this made a lot of sense to me. That was like, okay, of course they must have prepared it this way. Why is Germany famous for sauerkraut? Right? They must have eaten this for hundreds of years, and it makes sense. It breaks it down. Why shouldn't they just eat it raw? They made the sauerkraut out of it. They are famous for beer, which is something fermented. They are famous for aged sausage. There's a huge culture around these sausages in Germany, and cheeses, of course. So this is a thing that feels to me really natural, and like my ancestors ate, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And funny thing is, I'm looking forward to for tomorrow. You will for your live stream about the Switzerland.
Yeah.
Because I did a DNA test, and I'm really just like Central Europe. My like just Central
Dude,
Europe.
I want to live in Switzerland. It's beautiful there.
Yeah,
it's so pretty.
I read it in the book already with what kind of things they ate, but I'm really stoked about this. Interested.
Yeah, it's interesting because Weston A. Price doesn't write about a few like really important things, and it was just because it was common knowledge back then. Like they didn't have the richest person in the world did not have a refrigerator, so
yes, true.
Curing your meats, hanging your meats. Like I remember reading an old book about like how to feed your dog, and it was written in like the 1940s. And this woman, it was a woman, and she was like, "Oh, so when you pick up your half a cow from the store or from the butcher, just hang it in your front lawn, in your tree or in your backyard, and let it sit there for like 2 weeks." And like that was like common back then, and he might have saw that and just like, oh, well, everyone does that. I don't need to write about that.
Yeah.
And and even because that was the first chapter I read, the Swiss chapter, and I went out and I bought rye bread and I drank a bunch of whole milk, and I thought I was going to die. And yeah, it's those little details.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they'll get you. The devils are in the details.
True.
So what types of foods are you eating now?
Let's say breakfast or scrambled eggs, or like really like soft cooked eggs most of the time. Rather soft cooked eggs. Blue rare steak, grass fed.
Okay.
I got a really nice store here that like they always when I buy something, they give me something extra which I can try.
Nice.
And they're most likely cured meats and some really amazing things going on with. One was an old milk cow kind of. So this cow was like really, really old and died almost like on its own, and they made cured meat out of this. It was like really intense and really good.
That sounds really good.
So yeah, also a lot of cured meats like salamis, and there's liverwurst cured in Germany. You kind of have to ask how they produce them, because sometimes there are nitrates in these things, and
Europe has a ton of cured meats, but I would say it's hard to find like the high quality ones.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also, of course, cheeses. That's a little easier. They have raw milk cheeses everywhere.
Yeah.
Raw butter, and sometimes now, of course, I add also the sourdough bread. Of course,
that's nice.
That's pretty cool. And honey. Honey is of course a big thing as well.
Nice. Cool. And that's like, and before you were experimenting with veganism and vegetarianism.
That went wrong. That went pretty bad, actually. So.
Yeah. And does it feel like a big relief? I mean, I remember going on things like specific carbohydrate diet and carnivore diet and just feeling amazing and swearing off carbs. Like, I'm never eating carbs, blah, blah, blah. And then like 6 months go by, and every time you see a piece of bread, it's like, It's like torture. Did you kind of go through anything like that?
Yes, of course. I was addicted to sugar. This was one of the hardest addictions I overcame. I was a smoker and I was like into video games like crazy.
Yeah.
And these were just like it was just a joke compared to sugar. Quitting
Yeah.
sugar is hard.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really hard. And but I kind of now find it like a balance. Like the last weeks of I overdid some things, but I found a balance with this. And but yeah, it's not easy, but it's.
Are you eating like we talk about like making like rice porridge and like fermented rice porridge and mashed potatoes? Have you started doing that yet, or?
No, not really. I was trying this sourdough bread actually by like just okay, trial and error, just take one bite and see what's happening. I was not even ready for a start just yet, I thought.
Yeah.
But I will do that in the future definitely because
Okay.
I felt like a little starch, like a few like percentage of starch in the meal, and I feel a little bit better actually, and the
Okay.
digestion is a little more calm. I don't know. I also did a gut biome test.
Okay.
And this also showed that there was too many microbes that like make ammonium out of meats, out of proteins. They were like too
Okay,
high,
okay.
so maybe I need to little like less protein and get my calories from somewhere
Yeah.
else as well. That's a little tricky still, but yeah, I'm doing
Yeah,
pretty well actually.
it's scary going on carbs for the first time. You're like, this is gonna kill me.
Of course.
But now it's like, every meal I have to have carbs, and that's how and a lot of people look down on it, but that's what our ancestors were doing. And if you look and read Weston A. Price's book, everyone was doing that except for the
Yes.
Eskimos.
Except, yeah, but
Yeah.
then they had it from the
Exactly.
glycogen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I heard you also mention you had you have a fistula or had a fistula or
Yes, I did. Yeah.
how did you
I-
treat that or
Actually, like this is the thing. I got it in 2007 the first time, and I
Okay.
was like, "What is going on?" I went to a doctor, and he did not. He just said, "Oh yeah, just
Oh, it's a pimple."
put this
Yeah.
put this cream on this, and then just lay down and wait a little, and it will be better." Then it like opens. It's like from time to time it opened, and I
Yeah,
realized
yeah.
it got worse when I really did the vegetarian and the vegan diet because of the fiber, I guess. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It got way worse, but since I started carnivore, there was nothing. There's just it closed and it's kind of fine. It's this,
Oh, so yours was able to heal on the carnivore diet.
yeah,
Oh,
kind of,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
I guess I just took the workload of the large intestine by just eating the meat that because it's digested in the small intestine.
My theory on fistulas is if you don't treat it within 6 months of it forming,
Mm-hmm.
it develops scar tissue,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way to heal it is to use cauterize it with a laser or to do the thread treatment.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you got to it early. Is that?
Yeah, I have to say I'm not 100% sure if it closed completely on its own, but it did actually it stopped like pussing and everything and so
Yeah.
on. So and normally there's a pain then starting. I know it's a
Yeah.
pressure feeling, and this has stopped since last year completely. There's nothing going on actually anymore.
Is it still open or is it?
No, it's closed.
It's closed. Oh, okay,
It's closed
awesome,
now.
awesome. Yeah, mine. I mean, I probably had mine for 2 or 3 years, and then I went on specific carbohydrate diet, and it literally just overnight stopped bleeding and gushing pus.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even up until now, I was just hammering it with antifungals and healing things, and I think the scar tissue just made it permanent. Like if you pierce your ear, and
Yes,
I think it has. I
understand.
think okay, that's cool that you did it with just foods, and that's really cool.
Yeah, seems like.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you had a time machine, and you go back to you just got out of the doctor's office and you have Crohn's. If you had a time machine, what would you tell yourself coming out of that doctor's office?
I would tell myself don't go into veganism that hard. it's hard. What would I have told myself? Definitely stop smoking, start meditating, and like really research on how to prepare your foods for a better digestion.
Yeah.
And stop eating potato chips and chocolate.
There you go. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I tried the meditating and stuff, and that really never did much for me. And so I kind of like ignored it for a long time. But just recently, I found lab studies where they just torture mice, just make them miserable, and they'll develop Crohn's. So there's a lot of emotional stress.
Definitely. If you like, I realized with all the meditation and so on, I realized how much I contract. This is the right word. My belly when I'm in stress, when I'm working, actually, when I do things that need to be fast or something. I realized how much I do that actually. Yeah. And exactly in the region of my belly where also the Crohn's kind of is. But tell that to a GI doctor, he laughs at you, right?
Yeah.
So
well, my GI doctor was on the specific carbohydrate diet. And he failed to mention it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, crazy.
It's crazy stuff. Well, cool. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I hope it helps someone kind of see the light. But
I hope so. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, Danny.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.